those, of course, are individual sports focused on individual. They'll rank them in teams, but those athletes don't get the notoriety that they should, and they are as dedicated to their craft and their sport as any others. And they're really, again, they do things I could only dream of, and probably couldn't even do it in my dreams. So I know you and I are really, really impressed with their achievements, and I have to admit, I get a thrill when you look at the list of all the state qualifiers, and you have more than a handful from our area. It's a testament to those kids and their parents and coaches and the schools they represent.
More coming up on Sports Talk on the Max after this. Sports Talk on the Max continues at 12:17 on the turn of the clock. That's Eastern Time, 11 for our Central folks. Doug Griffith, Tony Ross, great to be with you. And interesting news, the Chicago Bears have been selected to be HBO's Hard Knocks series this year. Very interesting timing. Caleb Williams, the young rookie, the last time they had a young rookie on the show was back in the Cleveland Brown days in 2018 when Baker Mayfield was the feature, one of the big features on the HBO Hard Knocks. But now it's the Bears, and I don't know if I like this. What if we suck?
You won't know it in Hard Knocks because, of course, it only covers training camp. But
still, what if we look bad in training camp?
Yeah. That can happen because you do play preseason games. I don't know, man.
It's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure.
I'm glad. I mean, as a Bears fan, I think it'll be, and it gives you – that show is so well done. It's hard to believe it's been around since 2001, but, provides us fans with just unprecedented look, into the day-to-day lives of coaches, players, and the staff, and on and off the field. And, what a year to do it with the Chicago Bears. And the Bears didn't, just so we are clear, they didn't volunteer for the show. A lot of NFL teams don't want to do it because, of course, how coaches are anyway. A lot of them are superstitious and they want to minimize the distractions. And, of course, having cameras there and producers and everybody else. But it is what it is, and the NFL, I guess, has a stipulation. If, they want you to do the show, you do the show.
You do the show.
Period. So it's almost like your boss telling you to do something. You do it whether you like it or not. But
with a smile on your face.
That's right. But
I think there's a lot of good storylines for the Bears this year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I think,
and Williams, of course, he's the
gonna
marquee
be the
guy, but there are a lot of other ones.
And, if you're a teammate, you're kind of thinking, okay, I can deal with that. The less time I have to be on television, the better I am. I'll be. I mean, there's maybe that little benefit.
I would think Kmet will get Frank Kmet, the tight end from Notre Dame, will get some airtime. He's along with a lot of people.
There'll be a lot.
Yeah.
We're gonna have that
Keenan Allen, the new receiver, coming on board.
New running back
Moore
from Philadelphia now with us, and so I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot for the Bears to provide as far as material for the particular series. I'm going to watch. I am. It just kind of scares me if we suck.
Yeah, and it'll,
If we have a
like
bad
Tony said,
training camp,
it'll
it's-
be featured on HBO. It'll stream on Max, not our Max, but Cinemax for the streamers out there. And of course, they will start filming in July at training camp. The premiere of the show will be Tuesday, August the 6th, and it'll run every Tuesday, a new episode through September 3rd, of course, through the last preseason
Is
game.
that when preseason starts?
Well, preseason, yeah, it will be. And the Bears are early this year. They're in the kickoff Hall of Fame game at Canton, Ohio. So they actually kick off the preseason schedule.
Preseason schedule.
And remember, they used to play 4 preseasons. Now they only do 3. That was part of the bargaining agreement with the Players Association. So another, big nugget of news concerning the Bears, Tony. The State House in Illinois did not take up any of their funding. So as of now, the Bears' new stadium plans on the lakefront will have no public funding through taxes. And I was reading a quote from Don Harmon, who's the Illinois State Senate president, and he just said there's no appetite to put public taxpayer money in sports stadiums benefiting billion-dollar franchises. So that is going to be an uphill climb because they do not have all the money
For that new stadium.
Right. I think they have 3 of the $5 billion. So the Bears' statement after that happened downstate was, the lawmakers in the state of Illinois will reconvene in September, and they'll try to bring it up at that date. So
I don't think it's going to
might
work.
be a long hill to climb.
I don't. Well, there's a lot of time left to talk money. A lot of time.
Yeah.
Bears going to have to give something.
And they are giving a chunk, but again, it's
Come on.
their
Come
coffers
on.
are overflowing.
Come on.
And there's no doubt that they came out and presented that, and it's funny how big sports owners, corporations present things and try to lead you to believe or lead the taxpayers to believe that there won't be any taxes. The way I understand it right now, they have hotel tax, but that's not direct. They're going to have to get creative.
It's
maybe
a lot of money. It's billions. It's millions and millions of dollars.
Oh yeah. And like the NFL gives some, of course, the Bears give a huge chunk. They have bonds. It's sort of above my, economic.
It's a freaking like a
Because I know,
trigonometry
like
equation for
the Buffalo
stuff.
Bills are getting close to completion on their stadium, and that has funding from all directions. I mean, taxpayers, you name it.
Yeah.
The Bears, of course, are selling that lakefront stadium project as more than just football and the Bears. They're
It's going to be indoor.
yeah, and
I mean, that's a big attraction.
and that puts them on the map for everything. I mean, Final Four, Super Bowl,
you name it,
World Cup.
Yep.
They even have said the Olympics.
No,
Which
that would help.
That wouldn't be far fetched.
Not at all.
Was with their venues.
Wasn't Chicago like second in one of the Olympic votings
I think
several
so.
years ago?
Yeah.
It wasn't too long ago, but
They
it was several
thought
years
they
ago.
were gonna get
They thought
it.
they were going to get it.
And we're devastated, to say the least.
So, I mean, this will help, but to put the burden on the taxpayers right now, the way the economic situation is, and we all know it's pretty darn expensive up in Chicago. I don't blame the decision.
Yeah, it's going to
Down
take some
capital,
time,
I mean.
and the Bears want this thing pretty
They
fast.
got to, yeah. Because
I think they were.
each time there's a delay, it's costing them millions of dollars.
They wanted to break ground next summer,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, and they thought it would be a 3-year build, I believe. And so any delay, of course, pushes
everything back.
that back. The other thing, when we talk about stadiums and stuff and the World Cup, it made me think. I heard the president of Indiana Sports Corporation, they've done magnificent things in Indianapolis over the last 40 years. Started with the Olympic Sports Festival coming there. Now the NCAA headquarters are there, and of course, not next year, but the year after, in 2026, they'll host the Final Four again. And oh, by the way, since we turned the calendar to June, tomorrow in June, Lucas Oil Stadium is going to host the U.S. Olympic swimming trials. They have built an Olympic-sized pool in Lucas Oil Stadium. It's unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, you got to go look at it. And it's just, you talk about cutting edge of ways to find revenue for the city of Indianapolis and the state of Indiana. I mean, that sports corporation is phenomenal. And this is yet another way. Again, you talk about dome stadiums, but just look at what, they've had Big Ten championship for football.
Well, putting a court on the field's a hell of a lot easier than putting a swimming pool.
Oh, you should see the engineering. It's almost ready.
Really?
I've not seen I urge all our listeners to go take a look at that, and it's phenomenal. I at first thought there's no way they can pull this off.
How do you pull that off?
But they did it, and so the U.S. Olympic swim trials for, of course, the Paris Olympics, which come later this summer, will be held in Indianapolis.
Wow!
At Lucas Oil Stadium.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And, of course, they're coming off the Indianapolis 500, the Pacers run, of course, Caitlin Clark and the Fever. I mean, Indy and the state of Indiana is rolling.
All right, let's take a break. Sports Talk on the Max continues after we pay this bill. All right, back to Sports Talk on the Max. This hour brought to you by T-Mobile. Check out our neighborhood store in Plymouth. There's never been a better time to join T-Mobile. Caitlin Clark, since you brought up her name a moment ago, I want to talk to her. We talked a little bit earlier today to tease what we were going to talk about here on the Sports Talk. But, we're starting to see Caitlin adapt slowly but surely to the speed of the game, the physicalness of the game, coming off a 20-point performance, and then the night before, 30-point performance, and she's starting to come into her own. And, I mentioned yesterday, it's too bad the rest of the competitors that she's going to face can't just seem to soak it in and understand she's one of the greatest women basketball players to enter the league. And there's a lot of animosity toward her. Now, listen, it's one thing to be chosen to take on the challenge of defending her, but to talk the trash and everything, I know that's now become part of the game, and I know a lot of people like it. I don't. I don't like the way the styles are. I don't like anything about it, to be truthful. And I don't like watching the NBA. The only reason why I watched the Pacers is because they were actually doing good. And then once I watched them, I realized this isn't a typical NBA team. They play defense.
Yeah, they were getting after it on D.
They were getting after it on defense. So no wonder it was an exciting year for Pacer fans, especially in this state of Indiana who loves basketball. Well, I'm glad for Caitlin Clark that she is starting to make the adjustments that this team needs. They need a shot in the arm because they're not getting it from a lot of their other talent that's on that club. One who you thought would be the Boston girl, and she's putting up double-digit rebounds, but the big girl's got to put some points in. And she's been very inconsistent. She looks frustrated, but I don't know if it's a frustration with her teammates or her play. But she's got to figure some things out. They need her on the inside.
Yeah, it's become.
I mean, it's good to listen. The WNBA, the NBA are going to give you a chance to rebound more than they are you trying to score. So I'm the double-digit numbers for Boston doesn't bother me. It's what she's doing offensively that is extremely uncharacteristic.
Yeah, it's become very apparent that Caitlin Clark's a one-person show, and they're the Fever 1-8, and realistically, we probably knew it was going to be a very long year, wins and loss wise, for the Fever. Just again, you don't get the number one pick by accident.
No.
And with that said, I was looking at the stats just now. Caitlin ranks 13th in the league in scoring, 17.6 a game. She, more than 6.5 assists, and like Tony said, she's pulling down about 5 rebounds a game. But she's not used to losing, and I wonder as the season goes on how taxing that'll be. And I don't think it really will affect her game. But like we said earlier on your morning show, Tony, the Fever are going to have to get her a better supporting cast, and it's going to take a while for the rebuild, and that's what it is with the Fever. I mean, you're not reloading, you're rebuilding, and they're not.
And Caitlin right now is developing a confidence to where when she played at Iowa, when she kind of struggled out of the gate and someone lit her fire, that was it. Game was over. She was going to come in and she would purposely take on that challenge and try to win the game herself. Saw a little bit of that last night when she had that incident with Vivian's of Seattle. They had a pretty good heated exchange. Each one of them got a technical, But that fire by her should be something that every teammate should use that as a spark, as an inspiration. She's here to play, man.
Yep.
She wants to win.
And you're seeing that fire. You saw it earlier in the week when she got teed up from a ref.
It's a second technical foul.
In so many words said, call the foul, and deserved the tee. And, she admitted it. It was interesting to hear some of her comments from last night in the postgame press conference after the loss to Seattle. She was guarded with what she said about the officiating, but you can tell the frustration. And then I saw a clip where, and again, they're going to miss, they're human. They're going to miss some calls, and she's just got to keep playing and playing through it. And but again, I just wonder how much of that frustration is a reflection on the struggles of the Fever win and loss.
I'm sure there's an element there. I listen. There was a lot of hype the beginning before the season. What happened for the Fever marketing crew was they succeeded in creating the hype, knowing the fact that this was going to be a rough season. So mission accomplished there. And the thing is the fact of the matter is this is a Fever team that was horrible last year, and they really didn't do much outside of getting lucky and getting the first pick and get Caitlin Clark on the and listen, you got to think ahead if you're the Fever. Yeah, you got Caitlin Clark right now for hardly anything compared to what she's bringing in monetarily from just wearing number 22 in the jersey. So I'm of the opinion that, the Fever, if they're going to make the move, they got to do it now while Caitlin Clark is affordable. He's only making, what, $300,000?
Yeah, like
plus?
$330. Yeah.
I mean,
not
that's
much.
a ridiculous value.
For a WNBA,
For a
it's
WNBA,
a lot.
it may be a lot.
They just don't pay,
but
like what we're used to.
No one's asked the question, hey, how's the marketing, financials doing for the marketing for the Fever?
Well, and their crowds are
huge.
Almost
sellout.
Yeah. Well,
So
I guess
my
the silver
thing
lining
is, You need to start thinking about building this team now.
And
Maybe just get one that's going to help her. And when and the other part, I hate picking on Boston, but gosh darn, girl, you got to start getting more aggressive. You got some talent.
yeah, they really thought she would, make significant strides this year, and she, for whatever reasons, gotten off to in the 9 games.
And she's done so many interesting things that have given her a limelight. For example, being a TV analyst. She did actually a really good job being a TV analyst. But you wonder where the focus is going in the beginning of the year, coming off all the kind of accolades that Boston did before the season started. I just wonder if her approach is where it needs to be. What kind of approach did she have last year with one of the worst teams in the league? I just don't see it. It's got to be there because she's got talent. She's shown flashes of brilliance as a post girl. So it's there. And then those little things like I talked about earlier today, when they're in a huddle, you see her, she goes in, she does one of those half-crocked, putting your arm in, let's go kind of thing. And the look she had on her face was just so not what they need. And so, where are you at? Where are you at, Miss Boston? Because I know you're incredibly good. Because right now, your presence and the way you're showing is on television for everybody to see is that you look like you're, one, frustrated, but two, sometimes you don't want to be there.
Well,
and you're going to have to get that corrected.
I was going to say, if the Fever continue their losing ways, you're looking at another really good pick. Unfortunately, the best player probably in women's college basketball is Juju Watkins, who just finished her freshman year at USC, and she's not eligible for the draft for a few years. So she won't be on the draft board next year. So like Tony said, and I'm not up to date with the free agency and who might be a free agent, but it'll be interesting to see how the Fever improve. When you've got a once in a generation type player in Caitlin Clark who you've got to build around.
I wonder, because of that alone, she hates to lose. It's not in her vocabulary. It hasn't been on their resume. And when you are one of the best women basketball players across the world, I feel, but Juju's pretty good. Man, you know what? People need to listen. People have to listen. If you're the Indiana Fever, you have to listen to everything she says. She's your freaking future. And oh, by the way, which may be why we're not seeing a lot of movement or anything, or even a hiccup of anything of a trade or anything. It's because after about 3 years, after the third year here, you're going to have to dole out some money. I mean, millions and millions of dollars. And CC gets, I can't wait to see her next year, after she gets to this year. We're going to see more of these last 2 performances that we've been able to witness. So it's going to be different. The Fever are going to have their work cut out for them. And I just think that, they got to start thinking about doing something, because Caitlin isn't going to just idly stand by and accept this losing thing. And that's just not her nature. She makes more money in her marketing than she makes right now playing basketball. Very easy for her to be complacent, but one of the reasons why she's one of the best is that she doesn't like to lose. And if it means her scoring 30 points, then it means her scoring 30 points. But the more you tick her off, if you're an opponent, the more you're asking for trouble. And then when there's a will, there's a way. We'll start taking over for the Fever. So, like I said, I feel sorry for CC in the one fact that there's a lot of NBA shooting at her. And again, a lot of that is to try to get her off her mental game. I get it. But some of these fouls, man, they're pretty hard. And more than you see other stars in the NBA, women's NBA taking. So
just remember, Tony, I was just looking up at WNBA salary. I mean, this is eye-opening. I'm sure a lot will be written and talked about as we go through this season because that league is now making more money than they ever probably dreamt of. But Jackie Young, the great player, she's a great WNBA player, but fans might remember her. She was Southern Indiana Miss Basketball. She is the highest paid WNBA player, and her average annual salary is $252,000.
That's horrible.
That's it.
That's horrible.
Now, Caitlin, when I said the 300 plus, I believe that was her whatever. I think she signed a 3-year deal, and I'm sure they have a rookie cap, which is around 80,000. So she got the max for a rookie, and it's the same premise, I believe, as the NBA. Your first contract by far is not the most lucrative. It's the lowest on the totem pole. But I mean, the Diana Taurasi has been in that league forever, $234,000. So Skylar Diggins, $211,000.
And Skylar,
and that's why
I've watched Skylar twice because Indiana's faced Seattle twice.
And that's why players play overseas.
She's still good.
Oh yeah,
she's still got it in her.
Yep.
And she's a mom now and juggling all that. Now, is she consistent offensively right now? The answer is no. But man, she still gets it on defense. She's fun to watch now as she was when she was at South Bend, Washington, and at Notre Dame. So I mean, there's a lot of great talent. It's too bad they don't get paid what they need to get paid. But the league still is relatively young.
Right. I remember Brittany Griner. She was in Russia because she was playing when she had the trouble, with the marijuana and things, and then got arrested forever. So,
I just said the style I'm not necessarily agree with both men and women NBA teams, but it is what it is. As long as you perform and play basketball correctly, the way it's meant to be played, go ahead and do your blinging. That's fine. And that's the other thing I like about, CC is a fashion statement, but she's not model fashion. And
she's plain
humble.
Jane,
She's humble about it. And you mentioned earlier today, I mean, she wastes no time from basketball game or at the end of a basketball game to go sign autographs before she either hits the locker room or comes from the locker room. Come on, man. That's a great ambassador to do that.
I want to see.
Now, there are others that do that. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Oh, right. It's not just
but
Caitlin
the focus
Clark.
is on Caitlin Clark as opposed to any other WNBA player. So she's doing things the right way. I don't know how you can tell me she's not.
Well, it will be very interesting, and the time is quickly approaching. The selection of the United States women's basketball team that will participate in the Summer Olympics in Paris. There has been a lot of speculation. Is Caitlin Clark going to be picked, having never played an international game?
That ain't going to matter.
And
no.
I think it's a no-brainer.
No.
But, Tony, you talk about how the veterans, how will they accept her?
Listen, play better.
It'll be interesting.
Play better
to see how.
Play better than her.
Because she has to be selected.
How about instead of just giving for the name and lack of production, how about let's earn it more? Let's see if we can be better than Caitlin Clark.
But she has to be selected for that team.
No, she doesn't have to be.
Well, I mean.
But what she's doing now is going to be hard to keep her off the team.
Right.
I'm saying.
What I'm saying is.
Follow that effort.
Who do you think people want to watch in a USA uniform?
Well.
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. And then that's where the animosity gets created.
Right.
And that's the sad part about it.
And the NBCs that have spent millions and millions and millions to get the Olympic rights, they want the people, that are going to draw the eyes to those games. Just like the men's NBA team, it's going to be a heck of a collection because there aren't a lot of guys that are opting out. I believe Halliburton's on that team, among others. It's been in our previous Olympics or those not in too distant past. Some of the star NBA players haven't played. That's not the case this year, and it's going to be a team definitely worth watching and a team that will be the decided gold medal favorite.
Right. All right, Sports Talk on the Max continues after this. Well, I hate to do this, but I want to talk a little baseball, Chicago baseball, both the Sox and the Cubs. Sox are going to be in Milwaukee tonight after Milwaukee took 3 of 4 from the Cubs. This White Sox team, 15 wins. There's a reason why there's only 15 wins. But it sounds like Reinsdorf is fully all in with the Sox manager. And it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. Fall has had several discussions with Reinsdorf of late. And, Jerry's going to stay on board and ride the tide here. And it'll be interesting to see how this goes. This year's lost, obviously.
Well, he had to know this year was going to be
But the next
bad.
next year's going to have to be a real telltale, facing a Milwaukee team, and this is why the Milwaukee series for the Cubs was so aggravating for me. Milwaukee's like, they picked up 3 wins at home. They started the homestand with Chicago 13-10 at Milwaukee. That's not a typical Brewer team. But yet, after the series is over, they're 15-10. I don't know. Eric Freddie has been a really good pitcher for the Southsiders. He's 4-1. The ERA is like 2.8 something. The guy is a standout pitcher, and I'm glad to see him having some success. But the White Sox have gone 5-21 on the road, 15-42 overall. They're 9-35 in games when they've allowed a home run. I don't know. Maybe that's the key tonight. Eric, don't give up a home run, you'll win.
Well, when your team's batting .214, which is last in the
dead last.
Majors.
Dead last.
And really, it's what we've seen on the north side, Tony, for the last, it seems like forever. I mean, you talk about the bats in hibernation.
Cubs
for the Cubs
are 13th in runs, 17th in runs allowed, almost last in hits.
And remember, those categories were top 5 in April. So that's how far they've fallen.
Hits allowed, 15th. So everything right now, we are in the middle of the pack or less right now. We're 26th in the league hitting the baseball, 228. An on-base percentage of a pathetic 304. Now, and I say pathetic, I mean not that that's not that bad of a number, but for the team that we have, pathetic.
I was watching the post game after it wasn't yesterday's game, but it was Wednesday's game that they dropped. It was yesterday. After the afternoon game they dropped, and former Cub Cliff Floyd, who's on the marquee post game show, he flat out said something has to be done to shake up this team in terms of adding an addition. And
here's where Cody Bellinger needs to earn his money. I know either he is lying to everybody and he's not playing 100% or at 100% and pretending that he is. This is what my fear of Cody Bellinger was when we got him to begin with. He wants to start off great, has the ability to start off great, but he never stays consistent. Look at what he did when he was playing for LA. He dropped off the face of the earth after starting out like gangbusters the first couple years. I mean, at some point in time, and really Cody's not the problem, but is in a clubhouse when he needs to be that guy that can get you that big hit, that can make that big catch. He needs to be in teammates' ears.
Well, remember, was it Wednesday night? He had that unbelievable catch that saved a home run to preserve Ben Brown's no hitter. And I mean, you look up and down the Cubs lineup.
But did you see? Okay, I'm glad you bring this up.
267. He's second on the team in RBI.
But I'm telling you this, Doug, I'm not questioning that. I'm questioning when he comes from the dugout after that great catch. Did you see any kind of enthusiasm? No, he smiled because he was getting joked on by his teammates.
Yeah.
Now's the time to say, "Hey, come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's get this going here."
Man, the guy I'm after is Swanson. He's batting 205, and they are paying him a mint.
Well, Damsey,
205. That is just.
Damsey had a few bad years in Baltimore too when he was there, but he always managed to turn himself around. I don't know. He made an error, last night or the other night, had to make a backhand. That's all
in Atlanta, you mean?
It may have been Atlanta. But I don't know. And to Dansby's credit, he's even admitted he's not seeing the ball well.
And then
this is when you clear him. I don't know who our batting coach is. I can't remember. We change that like underwear every year. But that's when the batting coach has to do a mental job on his hitters. Because when all the hitter gets upset about is a ground ball, fly out, when he knows he can hit the ball on the nose, place it where he wants like Dansby can, he's got to get into Dansby's head and just change the way he's approaching at the plate mentally.
Well, they're all head cases right now. I mean, Morel's 198.
Yeah,
you've got these are AAA averages. They used to be, if you were below 200, you weren't playing in the major leagues. The Cubs are filled with these guys. Swanson, 205. Morel, 198. Amaya, 196. Gomes, 158. I mean, there's nobody on their team batting even close to 300.
And if Consul is the kind of coach that I think he is, just by his pure play, he's not that Raul Rosiscumba kind of guy. But when he was in slumps, he would figure out a way to get out of it. And usually by 4 or 5 games. And then stay consistent the rest of his season. I think he's struggling with the mental approach of his team as well.
Well, and he has nowhere to turn in the bullpen either, because as we've talked about before, I've lost track at how many games the bullpen has now blown, and it's pretty pathetic, Tony, and you'll agree. When your rookie of the year, who's in the running for the Cy Young, Imanaga, apologizes to his manager for one bad outing. Imagine where this team would be without its starting pitching.
Well, imagine if this entire team had that mentality.
Right. And
that was a bad loss for him because he couldn't figure things out. And he admitted it.
And in pitching, you're going to have
personally.
That. Yeah.
That's someone who cares about performing in the game of baseball, who loves the game so much when he has a bad day, he recognizes it and then uses it as a motivation for his upcoming start. Why can't everybody approach their
I agree.
Wisdom? I know he's not starting all the time, but he's been starting a few games more. Come on, bub.
222.
You got that home run mentality now. And I don't ever recall that ever being the case the last few years. Maybe last year.
Well, to show you how desperate they are, how about the yo-yo with Pete Crow Armstrong? Down 1 week, and then they call him back up.
Well, you have to.
Well, right, I know, but
the kid's got to figure out how to be consistent in the big leagues. And, oh, by the way, minor league pitching is just a wee bit different than Major League Baseball pitching, just a wee bit. So that's all on PCA. He's got to get – that's on him. If he wants to stay in the league, he's got to figure out a way to continue getting on base more and hitting the ball, not popping up or squibbing stuff.
But I'm telling you,
but again, if we had a lot of this issues too is with our offense. I really feel we're having issues with our batting coach because I'm not quite
like
sure.
You said, again,
I'm not quite sure he knows
rinse and repeat
what he needs to do here. And I don't know. I just feel this team needs more attention in the head case department than we actually do the ability to hit. We know Morrell can hit. We know that Wisdom can hit. We know Bellinger can hit. I just fear that the mental approach in each at bat is so different, so inconsistent. That's why you see most of our players turn around and just have this god-awful upset look on their face because they should have hit the first pitch. They know they should have hit the first pitch because it was a fastball right down Broadway. And so, to me, that's where a batting coach needs to figure things out and say, hey, okay, here's what your trend has been. You've been taking these first pitches. Of these first pitches, an X amount of them have been first pitch strikes. If that's the case, get a little more aggressive. Get in there, get red-eyed on the fastball, and do something with it. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to reinvent their hitting. Sometimes it is between ears. And listen, baseball is a rigorous sport, whether you want to believe it or not. They're playing every day. They're going through a lot of mental up and downs because sometimes you got a pitcher struggling. Then what follows is a lot of dink and dunk hits, errors. And so now you got that mental battle going on. So, I mean, baseball is as mental as it is physical. And I just have so many questions about how they handle it that you sit back and you go, why is he swinging at an 0-2 breaking ball it shows when it leaves his hand. He's trying to hit the outside corner, and it starts 6 inches out. Why are you going after it? Or better yet, why are you throwing a first pitch fastball to a pinch hitter? Why are you throwing a fastball when you're 0-2 in a count, down the middle?
Yeah, what's so infuriating to me, and I've seen it through the Cubs for too long to stomach, this franchise, and it doesn't matter if they change managers, they cannot manufacture runs. And it seems like every opponent that they play, it is astonishing to me how many times the Cubs have runners in scoring position and less than 2 outs, and Morrell's up. He doesn't shorten his swing or anything.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, Doug.
They don't know the situation. And like you said, it's revolving door at the hitting coach. Maybe the fact of the matter is these players aren't as good as we thought they were.
I'm not buying it.
I mean, there's a couple, Bellinger, but Morrell was on life support, wasn't he, a couple years ago?
Well, yeah.
To be on the team or not.
The kid turned himself around.
I mean, plus, the catcher position is a train wreck.
This is the mental game I'm talking about. Doug Morrell's a great example. They had him going playing one position, this position, that position, putting him in this as a leadoff. Now they got him as a number 4 because all of a sudden they discovered his power.
Well, then maybe they're not mentally tough enough.
That is my my thing.
Including Swanson.
Absolutely.
I don't care how good a fielder is. When you're batting 200, I don't even want to look up how much they're paying him.
They're a 228 head case right now.
I mean.
And they don't have to be. But what they need is some assurance from their batting coach. Listen, this is what you're doing in counts. You're letting fastballs get by you because you're looking something else. Maybe we keep it simple. Maybe we just say, look for the fastball, adjust to the breaking pitch. You got quick hands enough to get through to hit your off-speed pitch. Try to make the process between the ears more simple when they're thinking less, just focusing on the contact and doing what they know how to do. And it's delayed swing and misses on pitches on the inner half. I mean, that's mental. They know how to hit inside fastballs that should be jacked out of the stadium, but we'll miss them.
Well, they don't know how to make contact when contact scores runs. And,
but everything you're talking about, there's a byproduct of the head case.
Two outs. And again, count how many times they strike out with runners in scoring position in less than 2 outs.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's be real. They're in the worst division in baseball. They're a major, supposedly a big market team playing against all small market teams. Yet, what Milwaukee has evolved into is the St. Louis Cardinals of present day. How the Cardinals used to be yesteryear. They just win. It doesn't matter who's managing them, who's in their lineup, who they've lost. They just win. They keep winning.
Contreras was asked, before the Cubs. I get a chance to watch Major League games. He was asked one question about his approach to the plate. Hit the ball. That's all he said. And here he is. What was the stat recently on him? He has like 15 doubles in the last 2 weeks. See ball, hit ball.
Yep.
See ball, hit ball.
Well, Tony,
you can win. You as a hitter, you can win an at bat with a pitcher with just keeping it simple and focusing on the baseball, and not get caught up all the distractions, the crowd, or maybe the catcher says something to you snarky as a joke as you're approaching, and you tend to take that a little serious, or whatever the distractions may be. You have got to cut that. You got to go in with the see ball, hit ball mentality. I know it sounds cavemanish, but it works. And I was never a Major League Baseball player. I was never good enough, but when I did play collegiate baseball after high school, that's the approach I was told to take, and it changed everything for me. Yeah, sure, I grounded out at times and struck out 1 or 2 times, sometimes in a ball game, but I bounced back the next game and had my 2 for 3s or 3 for 4s. So it can be done if you simplify your thought process. That's it. No
Cubs better wake up. They've got a series this weekend against Cincinnati, and I will tell our listeners, you want to see a good brawl? Go back and watch the Pirates against the Reds from earlier this week. Something's got to be done with Amir Garrett. He is a loose cannon. He charged the Pirates dugout solo, and all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
And this has been in his past where he's been involved in bench clearing brawls.
Well, here's what I will say about that. That's got to get rectified, yes, but it sure is fun as hell to watch.
Well, it is, absolutely. That's why I said go watch it. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
That's maybe the wrong thing to say, but I sure
and
do
those
enjoy
two teams have
a good
really bad blood. I mean, dating to 2019.
Well, the Reds do with a lot.
Yeah.
The Reds do with a lot.
Baez was involved with Garrett, too.
So
you might want to mark your calendar the next time the Reds play the Pirates. And if you can, Tony's fortunate. He gets all the games. If you're lucky enough to watch that one, and who knows, one might
just go to
break
YouTube.
loose, too.
It's on YouTube. Yeah, go to YouTube. All right, we got to get out of here. That's Sports Talk on the Max that you can hear every Friday beginning at noon. Doug, talk to you later.
Thanks, Tony.